Hello all, my name is Bonnie Start and I'm going to be your instructor for this class. My plan today is just to kind of give you a quick overview of what you should be looking for each week and where you need to look for it. The first place you'll always go each week is your course home, and under the course home you'll find the notes for this particular week. So week 1 notes from your professor. For those who are able, I will be meeting with you on Zoom at 6 p.m. This is a one-time event. We won't be meeting on Zoom every class session, but I just wanted an opportunity to see your faces and for you to see me. So at any rate, you'll go here to your notes from your professor, and you'll see that here I've got the link to Zoom, the overview of our class. Our class begins anew each week on Wednesday, and each week there will also be a discussion topic, which I will show you in a minute. If you have a few minutes, take some minutes and go look at my Weebly site. I'm constantly adding new grammar sites, grammar information there, so please go have a look, see what's there. For using your Microsoft Word, etc., you can go here. This is one of my favorite places, Florida Gulf Coast University. They've got some terrific tutorials on how to use various parts of Microsoft Word. Here's a link for a Gantt chart that we'll be looking at later on in the semester. But basically a Gantt chart says, from this week we're going to be doing this information, from this week we do this information, and it shows where you are at that particular time. There is a little a little lesson on doing emails. Keep in mind that when you do emails to me, while I'm not grading your emails, I certainly am looking to see that you are doing them professionally. All right. This is just a by the way information. You can go to this link and there is software available to people who are students at UMGC. You can actually download a free version of Microsoft Office. There's no fees. It's yours for life. So even though you may be using the Office 365, this is a nice thing to have just so you'll have it on your computer. All right, now in addition, after you've looked at week 1, you want to go here to content, and under content, you're going to find the overview, the weekly overviews for the class. There is also a syllabus on here, provides you with the information on how your grade is calculated and so forth. So do go have a look at the syllabus. Also, you just click on syllabus and it will open up and give you all the basic information for the class, what this class involves, what my expectation is for you. So as I say, do go ahead and have a look at the syllabus and see what's here. All right, in addition to your syllabus, sorry, hold on a second, this is a bit slow today. All right, there's weekly discussions, information on doing the discussions. Essentially, it's going to tell you you want to get your first responses posted by Friday of each week, Friday at midnight, and that way your classmates have until Sunday to make comments on your assignments. So and we'll look at that in a minute. This is an overview of your assignments for the class. Assignment number 1 will be due at the end of this week by Tuesday at 11:30 p.m. Although sooner is better. You're going to look at various communication inhibitors in the context of your workplace. Define the inhibitors in your own words. Prepare a table with descriptions of the inhibitors and write a brief summary rating the effectiveness of communication in the chosen context. You might find that some of the information that you put together here can be used later on when you do your final report. All right, and so as I say, there are all 4 of the assignments for this 8-week period. Here is course resources. We've got e-readings, e-reserves, writing resources. Do make sure you take some time, have a look. Each week it'll probably send you to some of these resources to read, and you can also download them to your own computer so you'll have them to use for future classes. All right, an overview of what your course evaluation is and such. Under the discussions, there's a student lounge where you can ask your professor if you have any questions about anything that comes up during the course of the semester. That's a good place to post your question, because if you have a question, there's a good chance that other people in the class will also have a question, and I only have to answer it once. In addition, if you know the answer, feel free to answer for me. It doesn't hurt my feelings at all. Here you'll find sample papers, and it will, for example, here's a sample paper in APA 7th edition. We are now using the APA 7th edition, although you may find that some of your samples are still in 6th edition as they haven't been fully updated yet. But at any rate, you just pull up here. It'll give you a copy of writing assignment number 1, and you can have a look at it, see how the paper should be organized, and what the expectation is for each writing assignment. Now, one of the things that they don't use, but I really like you to use, is to make sure you've got a header on your paper, and in your header you put your name, and you put the writing assignment, and you put page numbers. So if I've got in the lessons that I've got, there's a lesson on how to do the page numbers and such. But at any rate, so there you go, an overview of what of the assignment, how it's done. Notice the headers, how everything has been organized. There is a copy of the chart. It's your communication example, either as a direct quote or a paraphrase. Don't just describe it to me, actually give me a quote here. What is the type of inhibitor that you're dealing with? And then finally, how do you justify your selection of that inhibitor? And then finally, there's an evaluation of your work site. All right. This one does not require that you have any documentation in it, so I'm not going to expect that you'll have references here. Back to our table of contents. All right, after you've looked at the sample papers, the very next thing popping up is going to be week 1. And week 1 has 10 little assignments in it. Each week will always have an overview of that week's assignments and such. Whenever you are writing professionally, you are involved in business writing. It is important that you learn to write as professionally as you possibly can. I can remember a few years ago I had a student who was a firefighter in Hampton, Virginia, and he said he kept having thoughts of things that they could be doing within their fire station in order to improve things, and he'd send the messages out and nobody ever responded to it. Well, we then learned how to write a memo properly, and he sent a recommendation using a formal memo, and lo and behold, he got an immediate response to his suggestion. So by doing the things properly, he got the acknowledgement that he needed. You need to be very clear in your information and make sure that your reader understands what you're talking about. At the end of this week, you're going to post your first draft, a report on your communication barriers, and at the end of this week, you'll be able to identify the 5 types of communication contexts and the differences between oral and written communication. Explain your concept of being prepared and being ethical as they relate to business communication, and then to analyze 6 ways in which language can be a barrier or a hindrance to communication. And then you have a look, and here are some lessons that are being posted. You can open up each one and have a look. Here's your sample paper for paper number 1. Here are your discussion topics, and then where your writing assignment. All right, and I'm not going to open up all of these, but do take a few minutes. You don't have to read them really closely, but you do have to at least go through them each week and make sure you've got an overview, taken a few notes. And again, if there's anything in there that you think you could use in the future, download it, save it to your computer. Everything that we use here at UMGC is information that can be freely downloaded. So feel free to do that and keep it in your, keep a little file in your computer so that you will have it. All right, the first thing we want to talk about here now is discussions. There is a discussion every single week, so please take time to go to the week's discussions. You'll have to have done the week's reading first and then go back and do the discussion. Some of you have probably already done this, but here 16 people have already done so. Is our student lounge. Introduce yourself. Do you have a name you prefer to be called by? What's your major? And any other basic information about you. Hobbies, where do you live? Reading interests, family. So any basic information you want to tell us about yourself, post that here, and then feel free to make comments to your classmates. You'll find this might help you later on when you're writing assignments, because you'll find people that you have things in common with. All right, the Ask Your Professor is your section where you can post any of your questions about your assignments. I will ask you, though, if you post a question here, send me a quick email and let me know that you posted a question. I don't necessarily check in on our Leo site every single day, but I do check my email multiple times a day. So if you'll let me know, I can go in there and check it. All right. This is our week 1. Week 1 is accepting responsibility for academic integrity. And there's a lesson here to go to. And once you've finished it, you submit the pledge with your name beneath it, and then copy and paste that in the discussion post and add your name at the end. This just says, I understand this class. All right, there is the weekly discussion and the information that they would like you to respond to this week. And as I said, post by Friday so that your classmates can come in and make comments on your paper. All right, and here is your discussion for week 1. Right. Okay, now the next section that I wanted to talk on just briefly is your assignments And under assignments, when you pull this up, it's going to offer you the various writing assignments. You just click on that, and it will open the writing assignment, give you an opportunity to post your writing assignment, and I will go back in there and grade them. Now, in your writing assignment, let me move this here so that you can't see the name of my other student. We have a Turnitin, and what Turnitin does is it looks at your work and determines if it is similar to anybody else's work. Now, this particular paper said it had a 20% overview to other work. But if you look right here, here's the first one, comparison and contrast of two websites. Well, that's actually the title of that particular assignment. So it says here that it found it in a university paper. Well, obviously anybody else who's done the same assignment, that heading is going to be found there in each one. All right, it will also go through and show where, even if you have given the information, it will still note the work that if you've done word for word, even if you've used quotes. So it's helpful. Keep in mind, if you have used the same assignment that you've used for another class, it will actually pull it up as being plagiarized. Just because it's your work does not mean if it's been posted to a UMGC, it's already there. And so you need to check with your professor if it's okay to do that, and make sure you note that you are using the information from another website or from another class. All right, folks, go up back to our class assignment. Under My Tools, you'll be able to see your grades, and there'll be other things in here that we'll add later on. Resources, your Turnitin, selection to the library, the Writing Center, and tutoring assistance. If you are using the Writing Center or the tutoring assistant, please make sure you have at least 48 hours to 72 hours before it has to be turned into our class, because it may take them that long to get to responding to your paper. All right, folks, I hope that gives you a good overview of what to expect, where to look for things in this class, and what to do things. I must remind you, this is an 8-week class, and 8 weeks goes by very quickly. And don't let yourself get behind. You're not going to have more time later, and in fact, your assignments are going to get longer and more detailed. So please make sure that you are keeping on target and getting your work done as quickly as you can. Now, one point on grading, you will see this under the syllabus, but I want to remind you, I will never give you less than a 50 on any writing assignment that you turn in. So no matter how bad you think it is or how you feel about it, turning in a paper and getting a 50 is far better than not turning in a paper and getting a 0. It can make the difference between passing this class or not. So please keep that in mind. And it's nice to get to meet you all, and I hope to get to know you better during the course of the class.